Nah, just one guy in the community selling it.
Oh, right. I'm just
So
purchased myself one.
if you're going to make some gains off of a project, you might as well.
Well, do you know what I was looking at beforehand? Talking of gains from a project, I'm looking at Miggles NFTs.
Oh, have they got NFTs now?
Yeah, they've been out a while. I think this is my one so far.
Is that how much you paid for it?
No,
Point one.
I haven't bought anything yet. I'm still scouring the market.
That's $300 well spent.
Yeah, they're not cheap. I mean, they're not expensive, should I say?
Right. NFTs are actually on the agenda. So, Crypto Waffle, episode 2, myself, CryptoSI, along with the Financial Navigator. My first question for you, our first topic, I think. Let's start with it. Why not? We'll get onto Bitcoin and all-time highs in a little while, but let's start with it. NFTs. What do you know? And do you think they're going to make a comeback anytime soon?
I think so. NFTs last cycle, like everyone, they were the hype of the things. Like this cycle, you've got MemeCoins and AI. Last cycle, it was NFTs. They were one of the things. Now, I was in NFTs, bought some. So I bought some. The only ones that have still got value are the ones that are related to Real Vision. I own some of their community-based ones. Other than that,
Was Real Vision?
the Real Joe Bow Powell.
Yes.
Yeah, so his company Real Vision, they have NFTs. And if you purchase certain NFTs, you've got, say, so for example, one NFT I've got, you get a 3 years subscription of our Real RV Plus.
Okay.
Worth, what, $900 a year. And the NFT cost at the time, I want to say about 90 quid. A good bargain at the time. At the time, you didn't know that was going to be the use case of it. And I bought a more expensive one, which I think at the time I paid 1.2 ETH, but it was like the Pico top. So I couldn't have timed it worse for one of their Genesis NFTs. But that is still a bit unsure of what it actually gets you.
Okay.
But I still hold that. They're the only two that I hold. The others that we still got, because last cycle, it was me, my brother, and another friend of mine. We put our ETH together and we bought a selection of NFTs to see if any of them works. And sadly, 99% of them are at zero. But shit happens, isn't it? You learn it's your first cycle sort of thing. But they will come back. Just like, I kind of relate them to the watch market and the fine wine market. They're lagging. So they lag maybe 9 months behind altcoins or behind Bitcoin.
Right.
So we should, as people start making money within alts, within ETH, within Bitcoin again, what does everyone do? They come down the risk curve, and Miggles is in that risk curve. For me, I've made some money off of its MemeCoin, and now I'm looking to rotate some of that money into their NFT project, because if their project does well and Miggles does well on base, and like we were saying last week, we think base is going to be one of the ones that gets the mass adoption this cycle. Miggles should perform, and that should be, and then it's kind of a leveraged play on Miggles, because it's valued in ETH. It's also valued in the Miggles community. So I think it's kind of a leveraged play from the Miggles token. I am kind of looking at it.
How are you planning to play it? So you're going to pick up the NFTs now. Are you planning to keep them to the end of the cycle? Which do you sell first?
Probably look to buy two. One will be a long-term hold, purely because, as we've said, base, we think, even going down the line I've discussed last week, I think Coinbase is probably going to be $1 trillion company in the next 10, 20 years. Now, the first mover advantage on base, as far as I'm looking at it, is Brett and Miggles. And then they've got some others like Toshi and Degen, like some bigger ones. But it's their first cat, effectively, of base chain. And I think first mover advantage is quite big in this space. You only have to look at other projects to see that. Like Shib, for example, on ETH, and Doge. Well, Doge is his own thing. Shib from last cycle, that was ridiculous. Yeah. What happened with that? So I think I'll keep one for the long term, and then one I'll try and flip. So one to get out.
0.1, was that the floor price, or are they cheap?
Point 0.06.
Okay, cool. So that's, what is that? 0.06, about 150
Yeah, 150, 170, something like that.
dollars. Okay. Right, that's quite pricey. But I suppose if you get
Bad. Like, look at some of the other projects that I've thought about getting back into, not like some of the what I'd class as the higher end NFTs. You're looking at a minimum 0.5 to 1.
Okay.
So, but I think obviously I'm going to try and relate it to something that I own. I've done well on. So I think up about 7x or whatever it is on Miggles at the minute. I've broken my original bet out, so it's all house money that's on the table, and that original money I'll look to put into the NFTs.
What made you pick Miggles? How did you find out about Miggles?
So when Coinbase launched their on-chain summer event, there was one in, I think it was 2020, I might be wrong, but it didn't really pick up. So they launched, I might be wrong, it might be 2021, but they launched late last cycle, on-chain summer and base chain. And then they did the same thing again this summer. So this summer they did on-chain summer on base, release a load of NFTs for free. Like if you had a wallet and you pay attention to their Instagrams or to their tweets or whatever, you can claim for NFTs for, was it 2 cents or whatever it is to mint one on the base. Now, my wallet, the first on-chain summer, they did a collaboration with Coca-Cola. So they did a free drop with Coca-Cola on the base chain. And you could mint all of them for, like I say, I think it was about $3 at the time per one. So pretty cheap. I mean, I've just minted loads of them. I kept them because as far as I'm aware, like I said, first mover advantage when it comes to this stuff down the line, I think is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And it was this, it might have been this year, Miggles come on the radar because they released that video of a cat licking or whatever it was, and it said Mr. Miggles. I'll see if I can find the tweet. But they released that, and then straight away I was like, Christ, Base is now affiliating itself with a MemeCoin. It's going to be blah, blah, blah. But the creators of Miggles aren't actually or supposedly affiliated with Base at the moment.
Yeah.
And what's been happening over the last, since we last spoke, is that in their bio of we're not affiliated with Base is now gone. Miggles Treasury has been, I think, I'm going to be totally off, but they sent a large sum of Miggles. I think it was worth, I want to say between $1 to $4 million worth, through a multi-sig wallet. So there's a bit of speculation around that.
Can that might be an airdrop or?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I kind of just leave them to it. I don't try and get too deep in the weeds. So when it comes to NFTs as well, I'm just literally going through and go, right, I like that one. I'm not looking at all the traits and all that stuff to then go and pick the most expensive with the rarest goldfish on its head or whatever it might be.
Yeah, laser eyes.
All of that stuff. But because this was the original, right, this thing here, I've just got it. So this video Coinbase released a while ago, just a cat licking a little fish treat. And as soon as that was to do with their on-chain summer theme, and I thought, straight away, right, I need to be on the watch out. Anyway, I'd come across Miggles and it went parabolic, and I don't buy green candles. So I was like, right, I've missed the boat, blah, blah, blah. But then that was the first pump, like when we had that little altcoin rally, everything went up.
Market cap was that up to roughly?
Was the music get my chart up? That was in 20th of July 24, and that pumped from, obviously nothing to 115 million. And then decided to dump from there to a very bottom. I mean, the bottom, Pico bottom, was put in on the 28th of October, so not long ago, at 12 million. So it fell, what's that? Right. 89, 90%. Nostrils back. Yeah, and now it's sitting at 144. So we're consolidating above the prior highs in what I'd call as a bull flag, ready for your next leg up.
Okay, so is Mr. Miggles, is this one that I should be buying? Not financial advice.
I like it. I think it's got first mover advantage. The memes are pretty funny. They were just at an event in, I want to say, Singapore, the Miggles team.
Oh,
There was
massive ETH thing going on in Bangkok, I think Thailand.
Yeah, the Miggles team there, or some of the Miggles team there, are posting a couple of things on their X accounts. But I think what we may have seen is an inflow of Asian investors.
Okay.
Is what I'm putting it down to. Obviously, it could be that Base is picking up some steam as well.
Yeah.
But let's see.
Yeah, I think that Base is quite close to the Trump pump, because a lot of people think Trump comes in, lowers regulations, Coinbase, as a result, gets some wiggle room to operate, and then Base as a network gets pumped. That's probably it. Okay, so I'm going to put Miggles on my watch list. I did look at it from when we last spoke. I think it was around this price. Was it last week? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's gone pretty wild since I think we last spoke.
Yeah, it's 5x.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always the way. Because, I was trying to play... I'm trying to play it sensibly. Like, when I had come up with my MemeCoin thesis for this cycle, I literally went to each chain and have picked out a couple for each chain.
Yeah.
Because last cycle, I don't want to do what I did last cycle, and you just buy a bit of everything, and you end up with 50, 60, 70 tokens, and it's just ridiculous. Like, you've no way of tracking anything. Obviously, Brett is the biggest one on Base. That's currently at about 1.6 billion. That's too move.
Too big to buy now for you?
Depending on how risky you are. I sold half my Brett bag because I got in at like 400 and put it into Miggles.
Right.
Which was a great play. And has turned out really well. So, the other one, for people that aren't as risk adverse and they want a bit of safety, Brett is probably the one to choose, because I can see that going to 5 to 10, maybe at a push, depending on how well Base picks up.
Safety, really. Safety. Come for the 100x's. Once Miggles hits your targets, because I noticed the way you do things, I should put a link. I will put a link in the description to your paid Telegram. But I've noticed the way you do things is that you have tiers that you reach. Yeah. So when you reach certain tiers, you like to take a bit off, and when it goes a bit higher, you like to take a little bit more off. When you take it off from Miggles, once it reaches your next target, wherever that may be, what will be the next one that you rotate into, or will you assess that at the time?
So with some of my older stuff that's in my portfolio, you obviously got a bit more chart history. Okay. So you can go on a monthly chart, you can look on a weekly chart, and you can go back to, say, last cycle, or early from October 2022, whatever the date is. And I normally use a trend-based fib extension. And that just marks me out some nice levels, and I can go, right, 10% there, 20% there, and then bang, bang, bang. If we go past the top, then great, happy days. I've still got a bag sat in there, whatever asset it is. With me like this, it's a little bit...
Sorry, can you do me a favor? Can you show your screen like you would and point out what these fib extensions are and where you're expecting the chart to land? Like, just pick one out for,
or Miggles, or just in general.
Pick one in general, just so that people can understand it, because I'm aware that sometimes we speak and people are like, what's a fib extension
about? So, for example, let's use TON. Okay, so this one it's got some decent chart history, which goes back to around January 2022. I'm not on my laptop, so I would have to turn my camera on my phone, but I will do that now. Okay. And you can see that I have on my screen these green levels here are my take profit levels. So as soon as we reach those targets, the first one is normally a 10%. Anything after that is 20% of whatever the sum is that I'm holding. So let's say I had 100 ton. I sell 10 at the first point. The next one, it'll be then 20% of 90 ton, and then so on and so on and so on until, like I say, hopefully we surpass all take profit targets. I've still got a nice bag of the asset, and the asset is at a price that I didn't think it was going to get to. And it's a nice lump anyway. But with these newer coins, it's difficult. So for me, obviously, what I teach the people in the Telegram is, as soon as you can get your initials, get out. Like, it's now a risk-free bet. You don't care what happens to it. It could go to the floor. It could go to the moon. You're not fussed.
Yeah.
For me, as soon as my Miggles doubled or near enough doubled, I took a bit off again and let it go up a little bit more and took another bit off, and I was risk-free. I mean, it took a bit of time, but these things happen. But now I'm playing it market cap. So for me, the first take profit for Miggles are 50. And once it gets above 250, I probably then leave it till it gets to 600, and then from 600 to about 1 billion, if it's going to get there. But like I say, if I can with the charts implement the trend-based fib extension, I'll then use that. But at the moment on the Miggles chart, I find it quite difficult to do, so I'm just going it via market cap at the minute. Quite a basic strategy. Like, I'm not too fancy with it all. It's a very simple way of doing it. And then just marking it up, setting alerts on your charts or on your trading view or CoinGecko, whatever you use. And as soon as it hits it, you can just go into your wallet, cash out.
You keep an eye on it. It doesn't, you haven't got alerts that ping your phone or anything like that. You just have to keep checking it every day.
For someone that's not looking at their phone every day, set alerts. But being you're in the space all the time, you look at this daily. And especially in a bull market, like for all my clients and students, I do a portfolio watch every day at the minute.
Right.
So I literally scour through everyone's portfolios. If anything has touched a take profit level, I'll drop them a little message saying, by the way, this take profit 1, I would personally trim off blah, blah, blah. Obviously, they haven't got to listen to me because I don't offer financial advice. It's just what I do in that scenario. And that way they don't have to go through what I suffered in my first cycle and ride it all the way down with nothing to show at the end.
Which I've done a few times, a few cycles. So when I was watching our last video, right, and something that really struck with me was when we discussed mobile phones and people doing all of their crypto on their mobile phone. I kind of thought to myself, do you know what? I think that is the next move. I think we've got base on one hand, which I think happens no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think on the other hand, I think we've got mobile. So I was starting to think that this TON ecosystem, which I'm assuming is mobile native, is going to really do something. Have you got any meme coins on TON? And also, what's the biggest DEX on TON at the moment?
But I believe the biggest DEX is D-Dust, or it will be Ston.fi.
Right. Have they got tokens, those two?
I think Stonfi has. I'm not actually sure about D-Dust. I will have a quick look.
Oh. Here we go. Okay, yeah, there's Ston.
Because I own, D-Dust has got a token. Now, I personally own Ston for full transparency. It is one of my plays because it has been beaten up if you look at the chart of it.
Oh, yes. Okay. The chart is showing, for those of you who are not looking on CoinGecko, that Ston is 94.6% off its all-time highs.
Yeah.
So some people probably bought it, well, definitely somebody bought it at $70, and it's now at $3.78. So there are some people who absolutely hate this project, in their mentions, calling them scammers. All right, so this is what I would say is gold at this point, at this price point. It's 7 million market cap, but fully diluted valuation is 380. The thing I'll say about fully diluted valuation with a DEX is that a lot of that FDV will be being held by the smart contracts, ready to be given out as rewards for people to come and provide liquidity. So it's not the same as like a VC coin where they can come and dump the liquidity on retail's heads. It's I wouldn't expect all of that FDV to come out anytime soon.
No. Yeah, so I mean, Ton, I've been on it for a while. Their biggest one, but is not too loved by the community, is Resistance Dog. It's the biggest meme by market cap. It's called Redo for the ticker, so that's REDO. That market cap is currently sat at 34 million, so it is tiny compared to when you look at other chains.
Spell it EDU, did you say?
EDO, sorry, not you. Redo. Yeah, it's tiny, 34 mil. I mean, just for comparisons, Miggles we just looked at is around 144.
Yeah.
So it's about 4x bigger.
Well, having said that, last week when we looked at Miggles, it was around 50 million.
It's moved.
And now it's moved. So if we come back next week and Redo is at 150, it would be the same movement as...
I personally own a bit of Redo, but my bigger position is TCAT. So obviously for each chain, their first dog meme, whatever you want to call it, is Redo, and then their first cat, I believe, is TCAT. That is my biggest play on Ton.
It's not a very imaginative name. That's only at 5 million.
Yeah, I know. TCAT's at 8.5.
Okay, I'm looking at it on CoinGecko. So I don't know why.
Sorry, in a minute, so maybe a little bit of difference.
Unless it's just literally just pumped. Let me see. I'm looking on Gecko Terminal. Yeah, Gecko Terminal saying the same.
The other thing I think is quite interesting with these is Ton itself moves differently to the general market. So when you look at actual Toncoin, it's not really moving when everything else is having these 10, 15, 20% plus days. It's a bit stagnant, a bit slow. Now, when Ton moves, these move silly. Like in a day, like I'm looking at the Redo screen here, and in one day, which was the 25th of August, it moved 242%.
Right.
In a day. Like, it's silly moves. Obviously, the smaller market cap you go down, like to TCAT, it gets even crazier. Yeah, you can have... These aren't things to be mucking around with if you don't know how to use them all. Because I personally think that I use Ton Keeper as a wallet. It's very similar to Phantom. I think it's easier to use than Phantom, dare I say. But I know some people that don't believe that, and it's just, I think, personal preference. But yeah, my three picks for the Ton chain are Redo, TCAT, and then Ston, which is that's DeFi token. I think that is severely undervalued, especially like you say, if I get any form of adoption. Little site.
We touched on them briefly, didn't we, last time, saying that what we think is the cons of the Ton token is their links to Russia. We were saying
Duvrov.
And who?
Pavel Duvrov and his brother, they're the creators. From
Telegram guy, the guy who got arrested.
Ton is the Telegram. It stands for the Open Network. So Ton token is Telegrams.
We've got a lot of users.
Yes. There's an argument to say that they've already brought billions on chain.
Yeah.
Because if everyone that's got a Telegram account opens up a wallet, bang, that's...
Whoa. Okay, all right, okay. The Ton guys, so this is the way I would normally think about it. Remember, like you were saying with Base, and they had the Base Summer where it is the team. The team are going to literally pick out the things that they like, that they want to make their champion. Have the Ton team shown any preferences over anything?
The highest thing, or Redo hit a market cap of 144 million at peak. Now, But like we said with Miggles, that went up to 112, I think we said.
Yep.
And then crashed to 12. Redo went to the peak of 143, and that was back in June 24 this year, and reached a low on the 4th of November at 15 mil. So again, another 90% odd drawdown. Not surprise me, especially if Ton starts moving, and Ton is at a market cap of
Ton's big, and Ton like 15 billion.
14.1 at the minute. So would not surprise me. I think Ton has got an easy 2 to 5x in himself, and these things. I mean, you pick a number on a board and just throw the dart at it. It could be anything. But I think, obviously, if you're going to play memes, the way I looked at it, very simple approach: pick the chains, pick some memes. Even the bigger ones on Ton, like the Resistance Dog and T-Cat, they're, I think, maybe the first mover advantage again, especially the Dog one or Redo, and then T-Cat. I mean, T-Cat's got quite. I think it's only because I'm in the Telegram and I follow them on Instagram. They've got quite what Murad would call a cult-like following. I mean, there's a lot of people that are tweeting about it, that are reposting. The chat's very active. I mean, every time I look on the Telegram chat, there's like another 10,000 messages in the last 7 hours or something ridiculous. And they've got, I think, one of the CTOs. His name is Tyrell, young kid. He's only 20. I want to say he's in his 20s. But he was actually mentored by Michael from Blockchain Sensei. So I know from in-person meets and whatnot. And he's currently out in Singapore doing various events. But I quite like the background of that as well, because I know they have a big community behind them, and they have a lot of contacts. That's that.
That one's a massive one, I think.
Yeah, Cat's tiny as well. Like I say, 8.5 mil. Like the peak it's been to is 21. It would not surprise me if that goes to 100 plus.
Yeah.
Because it's the same with the Redo one. Like, it's the first dog. It's already been to 100 plus. It's bounced back down to 34 mil market cap. So I think, and if you actually look at the charts on Redo, like, I'll mark it up quickly, but it's a very simple. We went to the peak, we dropped out, and we're just sat in a big like consolidation point at the moment.
I love to buy coins that have been 90% off of their all-time high. Once they've been down 90% off their all-time high, I love to buy them because it's almost a 10x back to their all-time high.
Yeah.
Which is...
If I just rotate my screen now, so we can see this is Redo. So we had this big explosion. We just fell back in. We've come back to test the previous area of support, which over here was near the launch. And that, to me, is very bullish. Yes, it's a massive drawdown, but when you're looking at new tokens, you have to go through this stuff.
Yeah.
So this from here is back to around the 100 mil market cap level, which is this white line. We get above that, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. Now, again, I bought my positions. I'm not adding anything more in. That's me done. But going back to the question earlier, you said, like, where do I rotate? From my other portfolio, at the moment, I'm rotating, like, let's say I cash out $500. $500 comes out. I buy 250 of Ton because I haven't got a Ton bag myself. And the other goes into the bear market bag. So it's ready for the bear market, ready to deploy if anything happens. And that Ton bag is purely to do, like I said earlier, maybe a 2 to 5x, get out.
Yep.
I think I probably will hold a bit for the longer or future, like base. But we'll see.
I think Ton's got a real good shout of being another one of the big ones with, what is it built on? Is it an EVM, Ton?
I don't actually know off the top of my head. I want to say it's its own thing.
Right, let me check. I'm going to check quickly.
No, it's on ETH.
Yeah, so it's an EVM. That would make sense.
Yeah, it's on ETH.
Makes sense. Right, okay. Next topic.
Do we want to just quickly go over our predictions from last week?
I was going to leave that to the end so we can do our...
Yeah, do another one.
But I know I'm excited to go over those predictions as well, because I think between us, apart from one thing, I think we hit them all.
Yeah, I think we did pretty good.
Yeah. So, all right, let's wait a little while, pat ourselves on the back. So Bitcoin, 91.1K at the moment. This week, I guess we didn't have any. What news did we get? We got some numbers out of America.
We failed about it again.
Yeah.
Like you say, couple numbers out of. Have we got any Fed meetings this week?
December, I think, is the next one.
It's December, right? Okay. Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything else that's big apart from you've got is it the ex-H bar guy potentially going in for Gary Gensler?
Oh, is that who's going to go in?
It used to be on the board for Hedera. He's now potentially a pick to go into Gary Gensler's place.
That would explain why H bar's gone bananas.
Yeah. But then also, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I personally hold H bar, but if you look back to their first pump earlier in the year,
why do you hold H bar?
because the big boys have got what they called my mind has gone blank with the name that I'm looking.
Got?
It's is it partnerships? Their foundation, they're a foundation. So on the board of their foundation, they've got Google, they've got Microsoft, they've got British Airways, they've got everything you could ask for, and that for me straight away is the same with XRP, right? So I hold a bag of XRP, and for me the fundamentals for XRP, I could see the vision of everyone goes, oh, it's payment mouth, blah blah blah, and it's been slated for God knows how long. I've been holding this bag since last cycle, and it's only just happening again, like moving. But HBar's partnerships announcement during their last pump, there was Japanese car manufacturer companies, there was BMW, there was all sorts. Like, it's an actual thing. So, do you remember V-Chain from last cycle? They were releasing partnerships with Chinese manufacturers. It's like that, but now. So it's their thing.
Right. So I met the H-bar guys in Portugal maybe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. And I went to speak to them and I wanted to find out what kind of like tech kind of stuff they've got, blah, blah, blah. And the person who I spoke to, can't remember his name, was insistent on telling me about these poxy partnerships. It was like, we've got a partnership with this guy, a partnership with that guy, a partnership with that. And honestly, I thought to myself, this sounds just like V-Chain. No, thank you. I'm out. But I've now come to realize that this technical snobbery is stupid, because I remember when XRP first came out and we was all slating it. It's a scam. It's not even decentralized. It's rubbish. It's going to go to zero. The foundation, they own 85% of the whole supply. They're going to dump it, blah, blah. And XRP is probably, next to Bitcoin, been in the top 10 the longest.
Yeah. I think it's that and Doge, isn't it?
I don't know if Doge isn't in the top 10 now. I wonder if maybe Doge as well then. Maybe.
But if if they release something big with the new government, it would not surprise me to see that flip sale.
Right. I don't think XRP ever do anything with anybody, but I think that the narrative that they've created, that they're going to do something with somebody, has got enough people believing that they're going to do something with somebody, that I would say XRP is the greatest meme coin ever to exist.
And it's got a massive cult as well.
Like an insane cult. A pal of mine called Crypto Trader Simon, like, pick him up first of all. He's on YouTube. He made a video the other day saying how bad XRP was, and I watched it and I was like, I remember saying all of these things in like 2013, like really angrily typing in the forums, do you guys know how bad this is? And I wish I'd have just shut my mouth and bought it, because it's to me, I think I I think it's a meme coin. There are some of the parents at my kids' football, they've got Bitcoin and they've got XRP. They could care less for any meme coins. They're not that far down the road yet. They could care less for DEXs, anything like that. They've got XRP. And one thing that they all unified in, they don't know how to sell it. So they're all like, I've got this XRP. I don't. And I'm like, well, like, how does this cult for die?
I don't know. Like you say, who knows if they're actually going to ever do something down the line. But, I mean, I was in Canary Wharf, I think, last cycle when I was working. There was XRP branding, Ripple branding everywhere. They obviously spend big money on this stuff, and they're not going to be doing it for no reason. Like, these people ain't stupid. And you've also got Brad Garlinghouse, or whatever his name is. He goes down to the Davos WEF meetings every year. Like, these guys aren't stupid. They've got connections. There's possibilities, and that to me, just even that connection of Brad Garlinghouse and Charles Schwab, that to me is right. Okay, that's worth a bit of money.
I think they're brilliant, absolutely brilliant at creating that narrative and that story and being consistent with it. I think they're brilliant at that. But we've had so many, I guess, bank-based leaks on what they're going to do, and I can't remember one that meaningfully mentioned XRP. I shouldn't say that because everyone will come in the comments and go bananas and XRP is so great, blah blah. But I can't see it happening. I genuinely can't see it happening. But
now who knows?
Yeah, now that I've said it, it'll happen. Now that I've said it,
this is why, like, when I see like the big partnerships, and like you said earlier, the same with HBAR and XRP. I mean, XRP hasn't got partnerships as such, not as many as HBAR, but you see these partnerships and it creates a buzz and it creates that attention that you need for, i.e., what everyone's here for, to watch the token go up. Like, we're not all stupid. We're all here for one reason only. And it's to try and make a lot of money and do well for yourself and your family and loved ones. And you've just got to identify the narratives that are best suited to do that.
Yeah.
And like you said,
yeah,
earlier, even if the XRP is the biggest meme coin, like, who knows, right? It could be.
So far, it definitely is, because so far it has not done the thing that it said it was going to do in any kind of way. So far it is, but I don't think it matters. I think it used to matter, but I don't think it matters now. Centralization is not a big deal. But that leads us nicely onto something else I wanted to, I guess, discuss or talk about. Was I was listening to the All In podcast, which is pretty good. It's got these four rich,
Daxton and everyone else. Yeah.
So it's got these four rich guys on there, and they were chatting. And the old grumpy Republican David Sachs was saying about their the Fit 21, which is likely to be the American, I guess, answer to crypto legislation.
Right. Okay. Because I haven't looked into this Fit 21 yet. I was going to ask you on it.
Right. So what they've said, to break it down and simplify it much more simple than it should be simplified, is that if your chain is seen as centralized, then it will be seen as a security. If your chain is seen as decentralized, then it will be a commodity. Now, securities are regulated by the SEC, who were previously the arch enemies of crypto, which is why we hate this Gary Gensler, whereas the commodities are regulated by the CFTC, who are, I guess, less hostile. So I wonder, or I feel like, because I made a short video about this during the week, I feel like after meme season is done and people start to look at fundamentals, I feel like decentralization will come back.
Have a narrative.
Yeah, in a meaningful way, because people will say, okay, well, if it is actually decentralized, it's not a security.
I think DeFi could be one of the ones that people run to at the end of the cycle. So once they've got out of their AI memes, that's one of the last things to pump. So like last cycle, the last things to pump were memes, if I remember correctly. And then
All right, so I'm not sure if this meme coin super cycle isn't the same as when we had the DeFi summer. So we might look back on this and say the meme coin was the meme coin summer, effectively, which came before the actual bull market. So the bull market may come in earnest halfway through next year, halfway through 25, which is when it's supposed to arrive. And when the bull market comes, people may go back to fundamentals. They may go back to looking for things that will go do well for actual reasons. And dApps having their own chains is definitely going to be a narrative now. Uniswap getting their own chain, these off-the-grid guys having their own chain, all these dApps having their own chain is definitely a thing that's much easier to do. So I feel like now that these dApps can have their own chains and those chains be decentralized, I think that might become more of a factor. So you can have a product, launch your own chain can be decentralized, you can sell the token and it not be a security. Maybe.
Oh. Yeah. I can see that happening. I think, like you say, the DeFi, I think there will be like a DeFi renaissance at some point. And I did pick up some Curve and Aave a while back. I mean, Curve's been hammered. It's if it's bottomed out or not, but
I think Curve's going to live forever because there's a lot of TVL with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was up like 20%. Bad day for Curve. But no, like you say, I think there will be this DeFi decentralized wave. Now, whether it's this cycle or not, I think it might be next.
Okay.
If you're saying that this is the thing, it then gives them time to sort out legislation fully.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if we then saw that next cycle along with maybe deepin and RWAs.
Problem is, by the time next cycle comes around, they may not still be in charge. We could be back to the...
But we should still... So like this market now, we got shown early on in the year when you saw these AI coins and meme coins run, that is this cycle's narrative. Right? And even with Trump coming in, that is going to remain the same. I think it would be the same next cycle. So we'd be given narratives early. You see early on in the market when Bitcoin bottoms, you see what the narrative is going to be for that cycle. You know, for me, this cycle, the first things you saw were like near and other things just popping up, like Link as well, doing a mad, 60 to 120% within the space of a month or two in that first pump. And that showed me that they're going to pump again in the cycle, and along with memes, and along with AI projects. So I think for me, next cycle, that adds up pretty well to what I'm thinking in timing wise. As for, it gives them time to sort out their legislation and stuff. It also gives what I believe deep in real world assets developers and that more time to hit the nail on the head, get it done properly. And then the next cycle, that is your go-to.
Right. One more thing quickly before we do our predictions. I noticed in your Telegram that you were saying the next coin, well, it was one of them that you think is going to break out, is going to be near. Have I got that right? And why do you think that is?
Well, just technically, but the trades I've put on, I've only just put a trade on. So we put a trade on, I think it was a couple of days ago, I want to say, on near. And that is purely because of technicals. That wasn't due to fundamentals. And then when you're in this stage of the cycle, there's no need for trying to short. You play basic breakouts, otherwise you're just going to get burned. Like the time for trying to pick bottoms and tops was when we were consolidating for 7 months. You just play the chart. But if I show you my screen now, let me just get to the chart that I want. We go to the 4 hour, because obviously this is shorter term stuff. This is not me getting too long with it. But this is the 4 hour chart of near. So if I just quickly flick to the weekly, you'll see that we've been in what like Bitcoin was, this descending sort of channel, as you can see here. And we look to be on the verge of breaking. We also have a 1020 cross just about to go green. So this little green thing here, just where my finger is, that is normally a bullish sign. As you can see over here, it normally, once they go green, you get a leg up. Obviously, we need that to confirm, i.e. with this weekly candle closing above this white line for me. But if we zoom into the 4 hour, you can see we've had this initial move up. And to me here, this is just a small bull flag ready for the next move. I'm hoping to catch a short-term move up to around maybe 750, a bit higher before I start trimming. Like I say, when it comes to trading as well, as soon as we're up on initials, cash it out, let the rest ride. There's also an argument to say that you've got a head and shoulders in here as well. So left shoulder here, big nice head at the bottom, right shoulder here. There's quite a few technicals here that line up. Like if you can't see that properly, quickly just draw that in. So there's your head. And this is how you measure the head and shoulders for that. You take it to the breakout. And would you look at that? It perfectly, the head and shoulders target goes to my first take profit of $11. Like literally bang to a T. Like TA amazes me with how it works with fibs and everything else. So if you can't see that head and shoulders, there's your head and shoulders. And that looks on the daily to be breaking out at the moment. One, purely technicals, no fundamentals involved there.
Not financial advice, but if it reaches 11, that's almost a double, isn't it? So that's my...
Yeah, obviously that's bear in mind that head and shoulders is on the daily, so that could happen over the next anywhere between a week to 4 weeks, if not longer. So it's not it's going to happen within the next 24 hours sort of thing. Oh my God, I've made 100% sort of thing. 24 hours, I'm a genius. That's a longer term thing. We've got quite a wide stop loss on it. So that's how I do things.
I like NEAR. I lost a lot of money on NEAR at the end of the last cycle. The technology's really good. The usability is really good. The wallets are really good. You get your own name straight away. There's DAOs on there. It's really good. It's
deep dive on NEAR a while back. During the bear market, I did a deep dive on a couple of things. I did one on HBAR. I did one on ICP.
You as well?
Yeah, because I posted. There you go. I did an algo one. I did an Algorand. I like Algorand. Because post. If you want to check my post out, you'll see why.
Yeah.
And I had a guy comment. This is just a random guy on Instagram, and I thank him very dearly for doing so. He said, "Check out ICP. I think it's better than Algorand." I was like, sweet, fine. I don't get married to my bags. I'm more than open to having a look at new stuff. And I said, look, I'll do a deep dive on it. Never heard of it before, did a deep dive. My ICP average price is like $2.50, $3. So I managed to get in at the Pico bottom, and he could have not timed his comment better during it.
Random guy that you owe a drink.
Random guy that I owe many a drinks.
It's now just shy of $10. So you're not done. Yeah. I think ICP is a lot better than Algorand. I'm not an Algorand fan at all. I think it's trash. But I don't want anyone to come for me in the comments. All right.
Coming for you.
Yeah. I know. Do you know what? Quick story. When what was it called? Terra Luna was still around and the UST was still a thing, I put a post on Twitter saying that it's definitely my most engaged tweet ever, saying that, the peg on UST doesn't make sense because you can get into a death loop whereby you need to sell more Terra to sustain the peg and the Terra goes down, so the peg will break. And I'd said that. I wasn't the only one to say it. I'm not a genius, but someone else had said it. And I was like, well, that makes mathematical sense. I'm going to parrot it. So I did. And these Luna guys, they came for me. Like, they went through all my videos on YouTube. They were like, you're stupid. You haven't got no subscribers. I hope that you get sacked from your job. Da, 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 da. Like, they really went hard. And
They went, yeah.
Yeah. And then it broke. And then all of the people who I went back to the tweet. So there's maybe like, I don't know, 2 months gap between when I got flamed to when I went back for them. And obviously all of them had taken lunatics, I think they would call themselves. They're all taking that out of their bio, hadn't they? And they were all pumping something else after that. And then periodically, there was one guy in particular, I'd go back and just troll him and be like, yeah, do you remember Terra Luna? Do you remember me? How are things today? Blah, blah, blah. All right, so... You what, sorry?
Rubbing it in a little. Yeah.
Because it's Twitter, isn't it? Like, you can't arrive at the people's home and enact violence on them. So you got back and some of your... Right, so should we do our predictions?
Can't find them where I wrote them down.
Oh, I've smiled.
In my book. Got them, tell a lie. Right in front of my face. So we were with Bitcoin, weren't we?
Started off with Bitcoin. I came out swinging with a massive prediction of 92k. When I said that, you said, what? Like, you looked at me as if I was drunk.
92 or 98? I've got 98 on mine.
Oh, I said 92. Don't you stitch me up. I was...
accidentally heard it was 98, and that's why I went.
Probably. That's what worthy. You went in with 88. So I miss you. What?
So after the Monday, we did dip down to 85. So it surpassed on the Tuesday. So it hit both of our targets.
Well, we are. So, smartest guys in the whole game. So, we'll give ourselves a tick for that one. The next one, I think, is even better, which is Doge.
Yeah.
So, Doge, you went in at 28 cents.
Yeah. And we come down to low 34.
I went in like a madman at 36.
Yeah.
We're sitting there.
Big bounce. Yeah. It's a tick for you there. I was a couple cents off.
All right. So I'll give myself a tick for that. Right. Whiff was newsworthy this week because it got added to Coinbase, which gave it a pump that I thought was smaller than it should have been, which worried me.
What? Did you come out as a 350, didn't you?
Yeah.
I said 4, and it surpassed both of those.
It smashed it, but that was after the Coinbase pump, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think that the Coinbase pump gave it, well, the peak on my screen is 473.
Yeah.
So then we can both give ourselves a tick for that one.
Yeah. So even with the news withstanding, it pumped up to a silly price and then it came back to our prices. So the reason why I was upset with Whiff was that it got added to Coinbase. It had a pump and it just didn't hold it. And I feel like that's a narrative. I feel like with these coins, with Popcat, probably SPX now as well, people might be wising up to the fact that the game plan is that the big exchanges come and save these coins. Yeah. Now, as soon as the big exchanges do come and save these coins, it's a sell the news event and everybody rushes for the exits. And then the coins kind of go straight back down to where they were before.
One thing on the subject of big exchanges listing stuff, I don't actually know the fundamental reason why Brett hasn't been listed on Coinbase yet.
Neither do I. I thought it was because of some kind of regulatory hurdle that that exchange only wants to list utility coins or they only want to list a certain type of coin. I don't understand why Coinbase are not listing base tokens. I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why. That was the whole point I bought. The whole reason I bought higher was because I was expecting Base are going to start listing.
They've got, they put DGen on, haven't they? They listed DGen, I believe, which is why we saw such a big.
Why that one jumped up so much.
Yeah. And now, like I was saying, with Miggle, you were saying earlier, they're not associated. If they become associated with Base, it's going to get listed, and there's another catalyst there to look at.
They have. Coinbase have listed DGen. Yeah,
Yeah, it's on Coinbase Exchange, isn't it?
that's great news.
Yeah. So that's why we've seen that. Like you say, I don't know why they haven't done Brett, because the second biggest one by market cap is, I think, DGen, second to Brett.
Yeah, so why didn't they do the biggest one first?
Yeah, that's what it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe we'll do a bit of digging, see if we can find out for next week.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I'll throw a theory in. Maybe they don't like the distribution of the token. Maybe they maybe they feel it's too centralized.
Would it potentially be because it's a community-run project?
No, community run projects. I would have assumed that would have been a more of a reason for them to list it. Unless they see a community run project as simply they can't identify the team.
Yeah, because I mean, Brett did have that big scare, didn't it, a while ago? If I'm looking at the chart, that was back here. I can't remember why off the top of my head. I just remember the price action being shocking. Yeah, we went from 19 cents at one point all the way down to 0.6. And then I think in the middle there around, this was 29th of July, it had some bad news effectively. And that's when the community takeover happened, sort of thing.
One thing I remember from working with PivX, when we went to go and get listed on big exchanges, they wanted, for some reason, they needed to have KYC from the main team members. Now, PivX was supposed to be, well, it was a fair launched coin. So it was a coin that you could only get by actually mining at the start, like Bitcoin. So there was no ICO, there was no airdrop, there was no initial sale, there was nothing like that. You had to actually mine. You had to use processing power to get the first coins for, I don't know, I think it was maybe about a year. Was it a year? It was a long time anyway. So there wasn't really, or there shouldn't really have been a team. Effectively, we ended up having to manufacture a team. A couple of guys went forward and gave, I can't remember if it was Binance at the time. It was one big exchange, but we had to give them KYC. So maybe if they can't KYC someone, so all right. So we've got a question from Blaze. When it's a community-run project, who does the exchange approach? There is no team to talk to. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That would make sense. If it's a community-run project, it might be harder for them to then list it on these exchanges, because I'm sure legislation or regulation, would say we need somebody to send to prison if this project goes and does something crazy. And you can't say, oh, well, we don't know.
So and so, yeah. That would be a valid reason. But we'll do a bit of digging this week. See.
Research. Right, next up is GOAT.
Maybe did we that one?
Well, I had a 9 there. I said,
coming down to you now. You're saying 82. I mean, it's currently sitting at 102.
Yeah, but where was it when we spoke last week?
Where are we? It was. I said, what was the date last week?
Well, I'm just put it on the 7-day and then looking at the start of the chart and looking at the end. So it was at 84.
The 11th. 84.
Yeah.
And I said 130 and it come up and hit a high on mine of 131.
Yep. Yeah. Literally just touched the day ago, Financial Navigator.
Know why that was? Because it hit my first take profit of 130. That was the zone.
And that's probably why it's come off like it is, like it has.
I just did a trend-based fib. It was my first TP. It hit the first fib level. Bang. And now...
But you've done a trend-based fib. Everybody else who uses your technique, would their trend-based fib be at the same point?
Yes.
So everybody hits that point and then everybody starts selling.
Yes. Now, so one insight on this. So what I'm looking at, bigger picture. So this is on the daily here. Again, none of this is financial advice, but I'm looking at a big head and shoulders on the GOAT screen. The target for this head and shoulders is around 148. So 101.5 billion, just shy, market cap will be. Now this here, what is happening now is what I would class as a bullish retest, because you had your one daily candle here where we had this massive expansion. We've come up to that fib level, hit a bit of resistance, coming off. Not financial advice. If you're a trader, this is where you buy. You buy on a retest of the neckline. You look for that to hold. Price should go to the target of around 148. It's just a matter of when.
And that would be a 50% markup. What would your time frame be for that one? You said 1 to 4 weeks for next. What would you say?
I'm going to say, between 1 to 4, I mean, we're in the stage of the market where cyclically this back end of the year is very bullish up until Christmas. We normally get a Santa rally. So this could happen. For all I know, it could happen tomorrow. Like within, 4 days, we went up to 130 and they've come back down to 102. So we easily be back up at 1.48 within another 4 days. But I'll be conservative again and say between a week and 4 weeks. I think we can do that.
Okay. I'm gonna have to add goat to my portfolio. Every day I was watching it going up, and I was like, "This guy, he's literally nailed this one." Then it kissed 130 and all came back off. Would you say 130 or the first fib line would be a good place to place a short for the reason that
what you cut off of?
Yeah.
So, like you say, it depends how many people actually use fibs, fib extensions, and all this stuff. Because there will be a small minority of people out there that will have their certain way of finding targets and whatnot. Now, like I said earlier, I just use a very simple method. Now, if you wanted to place, I'm not a trader short term, I'm more like an investor, buy and hold sort of thing. But if you wanted to place a short of fibs, then that would make sense. Like, I think it could work. Because I mean, a lot of them, because I mean, it's just by magic, but another big fib on here is bang on the $2 mark for that. And that's like, logically, again, is going to be a big resistance level.
Yeah.
I mean, the next fib after 130, like we've just kissed, is 175. Again, psychological. It's a big round number. None of these fibs come in at silly targets. They're all pretty much near big round numbers. And they just seem to work.
Yeah. And it reaches them. A lot of people take off, and then it comes back down, and then it retests wherever it should have retested.
If I wanted to add to my goat bags, now would be the time that I'd be adding, effectively. Yeah. And I personally, goat's not one of my bigger bags anymore. It was, but I'm now looking at forest, which I think will do a goat. So
I bought some forest. I panic bought forest after I watched goat go to 130, and why one?
Fine though.
Oh, do you know what? I love panic buying. It always works out for me. So yeah, I bet you've been calling too much stuff right for me to not just go and buy forest. So I just went and bought forest. But when I bought it, I think I might be down currently. Oh, we're having a terrible day today. Yeah. So forest is down 20% on the day, but over 7 days. So from where you spoke to now, it's up maybe 20 or 30%.
Yeah. What I call the must-hold level for forest at the minute. Technically, again, so a bit like I showed you guys, a bit like goat, we've had a breakout of this rising wedge, and we've come into retest. So if you're going to add to your bags or you are not financial advice, this is probably the place to do. Or maybe add a little bit in, see if we hold it. If we do, great. If we don't, I expect it to come down here. I expect forest to be at 0.013-ish if we break this level where we are now. So we could be in for a big drop.
Yeah, that's a big drawdown.
That's like a 70%, 60% drawdown.
There, then
that for me is a buy-in for our because I'm already fully allocated to forest, so I won't be adding any more unless we get a break of this level and come down to that area I just suggested we potentially go to.
Okay. All right. Last one, which we both done terribly in before we do next week's predictions, was Wales. So Wales was one that I was super bullish on, and you hadn't heard of it prior to us discussing it last week. I started jumping up and down saying that it's going to go to $1. You were looked at the graph and you were like maybe 69, but you'd only looked at the graph for literally 5 seconds. Wales done absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And
So currently,
that's a bad one.
next week, can we include Miggles?
Well, what we're going to do is we'll do our three. So we'll do BTC, Doge, with, then you pick one and I'll pick one.
Yeah.
So pick Miggles.
Yeah, I'll do Miggles this week.
I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I do like near, but I don't. Do you know what I want to? Which one I want to do? I want to do SPX.
SPX, yeah.
I'll do SPX. Yeah, I'll do SPX.
Right, so I want to price prediction for Bitcoin first, yeah?
Yeah, let's start BTC.
Right. Let me get my chart up. For me, there's one of two options. I'm seeing a head and shoulders top on the 4 hour, which could take us down to 82 in the short term.
Yeah.
Remember that's a 4 hour. So that is I'm looking for a break of that soonish. If not, I'm thinking we can tag that 98 level. I'm gonna go bearish bias actually looking at this 4 hour. And I'm gonna say we could potentially see within the next week 82.
Yikes. Okay.
That's where the target is.
In that case, I guess I'm going to have to go with the bullish version of that.
What we did last week.
But, do you know, I can't see us being bearish. Too much things are lining up for, well, actually, today in the news, they were talking about Biden is saying that the Ukrainians are allowed to launch American missiles into Russia.
Range launch, yeah, I saw that. But then, to be fair, I think we would have seen a reaction to that over the weekend.
Yeah.
Because that was out on, I think, Friday night.
Yeah. The VIX, which I like to use, which is the volatility index, I wouldn't call it a spike. We're still below 20. So it's kind of low considering where it's been earlier points in the year where less dramatic things were happening than World War III. So, but remember, the VIX is reactionary. It's not really predictive. So I then tried to go on Polymarket to see if there was a will Ukraine launch missiles into Russia market, but there isn't one yet. I think that guy's a bit shaken up now after the FBI raided his home. So I don't know if we'll get those really useful and edgy prediction markets on here anymore, which is a bit of a shame. So I was discussing with one of my other friends today who's quite up to date on geopolitics. He was saying he doesn't believe that Zelensky will dare to use these missiles because he's only got Biden for another couple of months and then Trump comes in. He thinks that Trump and his group will be making back-channeled communications with Zelensky saying, if you start this problems, you're going to have us to deal with when we get into power. And we're just going to let the Russians come and roll over your whole nation. So
they're already talking about just letting Russia keep what they've already got in Ukraine and calling it there and signing some sort of 20-year deal.
Yeah.
which obviously Putin won't be around in the next 20 years. So he potentially could accept that and be like, well, my job is done.
I think Putin's more of a figurehead than he is a dictator. I think that the whole Putin's a dictator is that's like Western propaganda. I think there's a whole bunch of people who absolutely back Putin's view of the world. So whether he's there or not, I don't think changes anything. But I agree, though. I've said this from the start that Putin's got to end up looking like a hero. There's no way Ukraine win. So they'll probably let Russia keep what they've got and then say Ukraine can't join NATO. If that happens, we stay bullish. We get a 98k Bitcoin this early in November. I don't know. I was thinking 100k around Christmas time. So
yeah,
do you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going for it.
98, yeah?
I'm going to do 95.
95.
I'll meet you halfway. 95k, yeah. But providing we don't start World War III, which we'll have bigger one problems to worry about.
The Doge, for me, let me go to the bigger time frame.
Which you also called, you put a video out months ago where you said Doge is the easiest thing to make money on. Look at this. It's obviously going to go crazy. Just buy it.
It's part of my 13k to 100k challenge. So Doge is my, now my biggest bag after its silly run up the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to stick with my bearish bias. So I'm going to go with 31.5.
Oh. So even after what it's done this week, you still got no love for Doge?
I've got plenty of love for it. If I'm bearish on BTC, I mean, and it's quite bearish. It's not like it's only 86. It's 82. You could see Doge, I think, come into 30s, maybe even 28 at lowest.
I'm going to say 40.
Yeah.
So what did you say? 28?
0.315.
You're saying 31?
Yeah, 31.5. I'd call it 31.
All right, I'm going to say 40. No, I'm going to say 40. Yeah, only 10% up.
Yeah. Width actually looks a lot better. I want to say we could see a 570 width.
Whoa! Not with an 82k Bitcoin, we can't.
I don't know. Chart looks good.
Really?
And you know what? That 570 is my first take profit level as well. So expect it to bounce off of that.
Okay. All right. We'll put you in that. So super bullish on width.
Could be well off, but let's see.
That's your you're saying width will touch an all-time high.
Yeah, I think it goes all-time high.
I'll tell you what, if you get all-time highs, I'll give it to you. Doesn't even have to reach 570. If you get all-time highs, then we've got to give you a point because all-time high is still quite a long way from here. All-time high is 480 and we're at 330.
570 or all-time high for Pat.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with 4. I'm going to go with 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I really am worried about the counter narrative for these Myriad coins and memes in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Niggles. I think we could see a continued. That doesn't look great. We could, I reckon, Miggles into. Yeah, I think that works. 10 cents.
by the way, in the time we've been speaking,
Down 15%.
yeah.
Yeah. The 10 cents is a good retest area for it. I think before it goes higher, if it's to rip higher from here, I still think it needs to come back into 10 cents at some point. So I'd rather, technically, want it to do it sooner than later. to keep it as a thing. And that may even bring the NFT price down a little bit for me, which I would love.
Okay, so where are we saying then for Miggles?
10 cents for me.
Oh, you think it's going to touch the 10 cents and not shoot back up?
Well, that's a good point. Isn't it? It's days. I'm looking at a 4-hour here. Call it 15. I think we could bounce 15 cents.
I'm going to say 27.
27. Lovely stuff. I hope you're correct.
Yeah, I reckon it does a big bounce. I think first cat on base.
You know what? I was looking a minute ago. The only cat that is bigger on base is where is it? And it's only marginally by market cap. Keyboard cat. So the market cap of keyboard cat is 128. Nichols is 122. So we did flip it the other day.
Yeah, and we just flicked back because we would have been higher than that at the start of this conversation.
Yeah. But to be fair, the keyboard cat chart is exactly like
Is that at a point where it's coming into?
I don't know. It's discovery. They've both recently made all-time highs. Who knows?
Last one is SPX. Yeah. This one's been a real dog for me this week. A real.
Just come up, say I've only got 5%.
All right, let's get it done.
Off, it's because my phone's died.
Okay. Right. SPX currently at 56. I'm going to say
Been a week.
74. And this is more hope than judgment. But I need something.
Well, I think we're coming into 41.
Oh no.
There's a lovely little box that I mine up between 49 and 38. So I'm going to go roughly in the middle of 41. No, I call it 42.
Before you get cut off, S. Codlin wants a price prediction on TON by the end of the month.
I can't see all these comments, by the way.
That sounds like a you problem, mate.
On for the end of the month.
This is from S. Codlin 1.
That is my brother.
Okay.
Oh, end of the month. I'm going to go bold here. I think we could see TON at $8.
Okay.
All-time highs. It'd be on the verge of all-time highs.
$8. All right. In that case, I'm going to say 10.
Yeah, weekly's looking good. Day's looking nice. Just had a breakout. We get a follow through. I think what we need though with TON is a bit of news. We need something to give it a oomph because, like I said earlier, it doesn't move with the markets in general. It moves. And if that does that, expect the ones we mentioned earlier, the TON memes, get them to be big.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, let's wrap up before you get cut off. This has been Crypto Waffle, episode 2. Me, CryptoSI, and the Financial Navigator. It's been a great chat. I'm going to try to save this and upload it to YouTube and share it in my grid. And we will be back next week for more discussions. I think our topic next week, we want to do a MemeCoin deep dive next week. So we'll discuss how long we think the MemeCoin cycle will last and things that we can do at this point in the cycle. And yeah, more of the same, I guess.
That was good to me. Looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Thanks for joining me, mate. I'll see you next week.
No worries. Take care, guys.
Thanks.
See you soon.